Now, from the Signature Bank Studios, this hour of the Shaun Thompson Show is sponsored exclusively by DonleyAuctions.com. They need your guns. Sell for top dollar. DonleyAuctions.com.
Portions of the following show may be pre-recorded.
From the streets of Melrose Park to the trading floor of the Merc, he's fought for every dollar he's ever earned. And now, with personal liberty and our system of capitalism under assault in America, he's here to seize back our rights from the government. With a cigar in one hand and a copy of the Declaration of Independence in the other, he's Shaun Thompson. And this is the Shaun Thompson Show.
Some folks are born made to wave the flag. Ooh, they're red, white, and blue.
Why can't you just forget about it? I mean, forget about it. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Just move along. Forget about it. You know who says that? Cowards. Cowards say that. The righteous don't ever forget about the right thing versus the wrong thing. In fact, that's a bit of our problem. A bit of our problem. Like right now, I just was getting ready for the show. Congressman Ray LaHood, you're supposed to be a conservative Republican, firebrand. And we're supposed to forget about your father and the relationship with the Democrats and the 10 cents on the gallon. And I said, I don't know. Ain't my cup of tea, Ray. Ain't my cup of tea. Right now, bipartisan, come together in Congress, a divided Congress, come together. He's the co-chair of the soccer coalition. What? The country is $39.5 trillion in debt. You're a frickin' part-time congressman. And you're going to put together a coalition on soccer? This is the problem. You either do the right thing or you accept lowlifes doing the wrong thing. I'm talking to you, moron. Where was he in all of this nonsense? All of this chaos. And it's a game. It's an illusion of a republic, an illusion of representation. And we have an old saying in the neighborhood. Heads, they win. Tails, we lose. Which means it's rigged. It's rigged. Like, let's take this last election where Trump was too big to rig.
He's a rogue, all right, notorious for his flamboyant lifestyle. Flashy clothes, fancy parties, fine women, and fast cars.
And whores, office tramp. Her entire qualification, she earned with no panties on in the back of Willie Brown's Riviera. Tuesdays, Thursdays, and sometimes Fridays if he was in the mood. Making 3 times what all the other prosecutors made. 3 times. Her second year when she started to stoop them on a regular basis. And she could have been president. What was her job? Oh, you were a prosecutor. You mean like the prosecutor in Illinois? Man who killed House of Blues patron for no reason. With a single punch, gets 5 years and avoids a murder charge under Illinois one-punch rule. Oh, wait a minute. We got a one-punch rule? And punch him in the face. What do you get if he dies? You'll do 5 years. By the looks of this fat, illiterate Chicago public school product, the 5 years will be the most consistent time of his useless, worthless life. What about the guy who died? Where was he from? He have a nice family. He have a decent life. Did he do the right thing? Because the prosecutor doesn't do the right thing. And if she or he is smart enough to stoop one of these scumbags in power, they could run for president one day too. And when you look at what Donald Trump really represents, it's fascinating in a way. What does he really represent? Just somebody who commented on politics, who had to rub elbows with these filthy scumbags, like Ed Burke, his lawyer. Big fat ass, but he wanted to build Trump Tower. Or Rahm Emanuel, the 9-finger Yakuza, who was the mayor at the time. Here, Rahm, here's 50. Here's 50 large. Shut your mouth, huh? Scumbag! We're going to build a building. And then he started to talk about it. Now, that was bad. Can't do that. Don't talk about it. So what do you do when somebody threatens the status quo? What's the move that you do when somebody threatens the status quo? You cheat them. It's really quite that easy. You cheat them. You fraud them. You steal elections. And if that doesn't work, then you weaponize lawfare. And when you weaponize lawfare, you start to move all kinds of things around in the rule of law, which means in these Democrat enclaves like our own, you don't really have a rule of law.
Judge Wilson, what's the statute of limitations on a misdemeanor in New York?
1 year.
The business records case is a misdemeanor, correct?
The underlying crime, the falsifying business records, yes, that's a misdemeanor charge.
So let it breathe for a minute. So one of the things that led to tens of millions, hundreds of millions, kids were going to go to jail. By the way, the kids who are all decent. Not like that crack-smoking, whoremongering, degenerate pig used as a bagman for the dimwit in diapers. Or his other scumbag son, who was a fraud. His military record was a fraud, but he was the AG for Delaware, arguably one of the top 3 most corrupt states in the country. How do you think Barack Obama picked? How do you think he came across him? You think he said, boy, I like what you did in 1988 when you were laughed off the stage for plagiarizing and bald-faced stupidity, not to mention your links to the labor extortion mafia that stole the election in Delaware in 1972. It was a scandal then, but nobody remembers it. What do you think was his big attribute? See, his son, the dead one, may he burn in hell, when he was the AG of Delaware and the scandal broke of Barack Obama, not the birth certificate where he wasn't born here, he was born in Kenya. Not that. Not the one that he lived and was raised by Lolo Soetoro, an asset of the CIA, second richest man in Indonesia. Not that one either. The one where he is a drug addict, homosexual, and performed a bunch of sick, twisted, degenerate sex acts while smoking crack with Larry Sinclair. And Larry Sinclair, ironically, brought receipts. He brought receipts of the limousine he rented in Shirakistan. He brought receipts of the motel where Barack went 2 days in a row. He wanted to tell the people, listen, I know he gave you a nice speech, but he was smoking crack with me as I was doing all kinds of nasty things to his genitals. And Joe Biden's son in Delaware cooked up a charge to prosecute Larry Sinclair for, do you know what, Squirrel? Corporate espionage. Corporate espionage. He was a salesman, traveling salesman. Came to Chicago because his godson was graduating from Great Lakes. It's a fascinating story. Then Larry Sinclair had to flee because that's how it normally works. You get your crooked hornswogglers in the AG like Kamala Harris, hornswoggler. And you get them to cook up and weaponize law. And if that doesn't work, you weaponize it against the principal, just like they did in another legacy corrupt area, New York City, where the thieves and the scum, they're never nervous. Only the people that want to do the right thing, they're nervous.
Only way to get to a felony is by committing it, or is by in concealment of another crime.
Correct.
And each one of those crimes has specific elements.
That's right.
And you have to prove, in order to get a conviction at trial, you have to prove every element of the crime beyond a reasonable doubt, right? That's just traditionally how this works.
That is the right way to do it.
So in the indictment, did they put the underlying crime?
No, they did not. They only described it as other crimes.
Okay. And in the jury instructions.
Who's the they, Your Honor? The government. Government. The government. The overseers of law, or supposedly the rule of law. The government weaponized, corrupted, and lied. Didn't you, Letitia? What is that, a size 54? That's a wide body. Another whore frauded mortgage documents. Said she was married to her father. It's no big deal. You elect congresswomen like that, too. To get a VA loan. Another fraud. Who did the right thing there? Another act of cowardice. Coward. Every one of it could have been stopped by one person of character who had the courage to say, hey, you fatso, what you're doing is illegal.
Did they put the specific underlying crime?
No, the falsifying business records was described in the jury instructions. There was some brief description of the New York State election law violation, but there was no description given of the choice of three crimes. There was a description given of falsifying business records, which was pretty ironic because it was falsifying business records to falsify business records.
So, and that's also a
These are the people in charge of elections. They bastardize our so-called law, weaponize government, make up lies, fraud, and charges. And everybody knows when you deal with scum, gypsies, thieves, or American Democrats, the accusation is the practice. That's why they always levy the accusation. They'll fill in the practice later. They'll make it up. Because in Democrat corrupt areas, the rules are there are no rules. Statute of limitations, forget about it. None of it. And you can see it in every Democrat area. I mean, every one. Even the beautiful ones of nature, like Hawaii, which employs, arguably, and this is saying something, Squirrel, the dumbest senator in the United, not so United, States of America. She, this pains me, this Hirono broad. You know why, Squirrel? She bears a striking resemblance to one of my favorite detectives on Barney Miller. Yamana, if he let his hair go.
Questions. Since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
Now, she's levying this charge at Blanche, and the whole time she supported the office hornswoggler. Now, did Willie make the advancement, or did Kamala throw her thong at him? How did it work, hornswoggler, Yamana?
No, Senator.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement relating to this kind of conduct?
You mean like Bill Clinton with Paula Jones? You mean like Bill Clinton with Monica Lewinsky? Bill Clinton with Jennifer Flowers? Bill Clinton with the two other women he raped? You mean like that? The rules are, there are no rules. These are the same scum that are in charge, supposedly, of elections, which explains why you're either going to have the courage to demand and insist the right thing be done, no matter what they tell you. Statute of limitations, out of the window. There is no statute of limitations now, just like in New York. Just like in New York or Chirac or California, where they steal $146 billion out of just Medicaid. Just Medicaid.
Look at this number, $146 billion. Health and Human Service officials confirmed that number to Chris Rufo as the staggering amount of fraud in a single program in Gavin Newsom's state Medicaid system.
So Gavin Newsom, he's good for what? The Mimbo. He's good for covering up Uncle Paul, who can make two hammers stink at the same time, who likes banging cars off of things, whether he's got his boyfriend in the car or not. He's been drunk since 1967, and nobody gives a rip. That's what Gavin Newsom's for. That, and promoting what exactly? The fraud that he doesn't like capitalism being worth hundreds of millions of trust fund money?
Something's fundamentally broken here. And that wealth is creating power locking in rules and regulations, locking everybody else out.
You mean like California or New York or Chicago? Or New Jersey, or Philly, or anywhere Democrats are in charge. And what do they do then? Then they steal elections. That's what.
But it's really big news. It's really, really big news. And our country has to shape up. But that's what we're going to be talking about Thursday is it doesn't get bigger. Because without free and fair elections, you don't have a country. We'll be discussing other things too, but it's going to be a very big announcement. Yeah?
The Washington. And who stands in the way of this? Who? Republicans. Like LaHood. What are you going to do? You want to go on a soccer co-chair committee? Woo! Soccer! You moron! What's going on in Illinois? Republicans stand in the way, like Mitch McConnell. This is way back in 1987. Now, don't get me wrong. He had been elected since the 70s, but not in the big leagues until the early 80s. Mitch, boy, did he look quite questionable back then, Mitch. He had that same Jiminy Cricket face with his hair and little pixie finger curls. That must have been what attracted the Chinese shipping heiress.
Mr. President's election day in Kentucky. And I suspect on this election day, as on many election days over the last 100 years or so, in some areas of my state, people are attempting to buy votes, sell votes, intimidate voters, and in general distort the election process.
When Mitch was alive, he sounded like me. Didn't you, Mitch? You still were side saddle. 312-642-5600.
What if everything you've been told about government, healthcare, poverty, energy, and even science is a carefully constructed lie? In Shaun Thompson's new book, What If It's All a Lie? Shaun Thompson dismantles the myths at the core of modern America. This is the book the ruling class doesn't want you to read. And once you do, you won't see the world the same way again. Order your copy today at ShaunThompsonShow.com/book.
Hey Chicagoland, Jeff from Jeff Buys Your House. When people call us, they're often dealing with something overwhelming. An inherited home full of belongings, parent needing senior living, managing an estate while juggling everything else in life. Here's what our sellers have to say after working with us. The very thought of hiring an agent, a cleanup crew, and dealing with months of uncertainty was overwhelming. But Jeff's team gave me permission to just leave it all. I took what mattered and they handled everything else. Another seller wrote, even my Medicaid specialist said Jeff Buys Your House is the name to trust. They gave me a fair price without the traditional